With me. I did want to mention and thank our Mayor of Gardner, Mark Harp, for coming out and saying hello and being here in tonight. Our next candidate tonight is running for Governor Council, is an attorney for a law office in Southbridge, is also a special prosecutor for select cases for the Worcester County District Attorney's Office. Please let's welcome JenCaissie.
Thank you very much. What a beautiful place to have an event like this. Congratulations to everybody who helped put this together, and thank you for this opportunity. Keith began his presentation a few minutes ago talking about his background, and because of the time restraint, I don't want to get yanked off like the Gong Show. A little bit about myself, background. I have 2 black labs. One's name is Lincoln, and the other one's name is Reagan. So I think that tells you a little bit about me. Which is bigger than the county, it's 68 cities and towns. And I tell people I'm running for governor's council, and everybody, all the folks are so polite, and they smile and they say, that's great. And I look into their eyes and I said, they don't know what I'm talking about, and they don't want to tell me that. And then I say, do you know what the governor's council is? And I can't tell you how many people, through no fault of their own, say, honestly, I don't know what it is. And I say, let me tell you what it is, and let me tell you why it's important. The governor's council was created back in 1780 by a fellow by the name of Samuel Adams, who was one of our founding fathers. And it was put together at that time to be a check on the British monarchy's governor at the time, who was deemed to be, we knew, a puppet for the British government. So our founding fathers had the foresight to put this governor's council together. And over time, the governor's council has evolved and changed. Today, it consists of 8 members, all elected by the people. I'm running for the 7th district. And the most important thing the Governor's Council does is they approve all of the judges who take the bench in Massachusetts. Nobody becomes a judge in Massachusetts without a majority vote of the Governor's Council. That means judges in your local district courts, your probate courts, all the way up to the highest court in our state, the Massachusetts Supreme Court. So just knowing that, you know how important it is for us to get the right judges on the bench for the future of Massachusetts. And somebody asked me along the way, I've gotten the question, well, Jen, why are you running for this position? And I'll tell you why. I'm running for this position because I'm tired of picking up the newspaper and reading about sex offenders getting out on time served and getting out and hurting children. I'm tired of reading about career criminals catching breaks and getting out on light sentences. I'm tired of reading about judges who don't want to enforce the law, judges who think it's their role as appointed officials, not elected in Massachusetts, appointed for life. They think it's their role to make the law. That's not why judges are put on the bench. Judges are supposed to interpret the law. You know that thing called the Constitution? Interpret and apply the law, not make the law. However you feel about gay marriage, I'm not going to get into the substance of that issue, but that is a decision that should have been made by you, the people of Massachusetts, at the ballot box, not by 5 members of the Massachusetts Supreme Court. And when I am elected, I will ask judicial candidates tough questions. Questions like, where do they stand on mandatory sentencing for sex offenders? Where do they stand on deportation of illegals committing violent crimes or crimes, any crimes against American citizens? I've spoken to a couple judges, some on the bench, some retired, and I said, look, tell me, what could you really do? What is the most you can do as a judge to help with this illegal immigrant problem that we have, not just in Massachusetts, but in this country? And they said, as a judge, what you could do is when you have somebody in lockup, you could say to probation, hey, call INS and see if they want to come get this person, particularly if they're a dangerous person or if it's somebody that our government has been looking for. And judges are not doing that in Massachusetts, and that will be a question I will ask them. Will you make that call? Will you ask probation to make that call? That's critically important to our safety, to our neighborhoods. Taxpayers deserve that those types of questions be asked, and I'll ask those questions. I'm also a big proponent of the Second Amendment. We got any sportsmen and women out there? People like I got 100% rating from Goal, and that's another question I'll ask. When I go around and speak to sportsmen and women at their clubs, I'm a member at Singletary Rod and Gun in Oxford, I say, you need a voice on the Governor's Council. And I can tell you that you do not have a voice that sticks up for and defends a fundamental right of the people of Massachusetts in this country, and that's the Second Amendment. So I'll be a voice for people The Governor's Council has a reputation for being a rubber stamp. No wonder, nobody knows what it is, and they just, they approve judges behind the curtain, and you don't see what questions are being asked, if any. I've spoken to some judges, and they said, I was never even asked what my judicial philosophy was. And that's why they have a reputation as being a rubber stamp, because they've earned it. And Keith touched upon it. We've heard it as a common theme in this room. It's about pay-to-play politics. That's how judges are selected in Massachusetts. You walk into a courtroom and you think you see that person wearing that black robe and they're the smartest person in the room and they're the person with the most integrity. That's not the case. It's who's writing the checks, what's your last name, and that's wrong. My campaign is all about putting the right judges on the bench for the future of this Commonwealth, for our families, and for the taxpayers of Massachusetts. $250 million a year is spent on our trial court system. I want to turn cameras on during confirmation hearings. I'm a selectman in my hometown of Oxford. I've been doing that for a decade. I absolutely love it. It keeps me grounded. It keeps me connected with the grassroots of what's going on in our communities. And my experience has been turn the cameras on and see who's showing up on time, who's asking the right question, and who really are the rubber stamps, because it's time for those rubber stamps to go. The people of Massachusetts deserve better. JenCaissie, November 2nd, Governor's Council. Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about the erosion of constitutional law through case law or precedents. Where's your stand on that as far as when you're going to be questioning judges? Is that going to be an issue for you?
That's a good question. That's basically referred to as stare decisis. If there's been a series of cases that have gone on over the years, and a judge will look back and say, well, based on the case of Commonwealth versus Jones, I'm going to do this. If you have to go back to the fundamental document, and you have to look at the Constitution and say, they had it wrong back in 1980, I can't follow that case law, then that's what you need to do. It's fundamental understanding about the Constitution, our Massachusetts Constitution, our Declaration of Rights, and that's what we need to get back to. As I started this campaign, I'm going around, and all the regulation, and the bureaucrats, and the red tape, and the corruption, it's just like overload, overload, overload. I say grab our Declaration of Independence, grab our U.S. Constitution, grab our Massachusetts Constitution, walk out of the building and light the place up. We need a fresh start in Massachusetts. Thank you very much again. I really appreciate it. Thank
Our next candidate tonight is running for